I opened my parents' door on Christmas morning expecting family, but found only my 3 nephews and a handwritten note. "We're on a cruise," it read. "This is good experience for you." I set a 60-minute timer and called my mother. "Get back here, or I'm reporting this as child abandonment." They thought I'd just roll over again. This year, I had a gift ready for them, one that would stop the free babysitting and the online smears for good. My name is Serenity Diaz. I am 32 years old, single, and I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Venice, Los Angeles, where the rent is criminal and the ocean air is the only thing that is free. I am a content manager at Northlight Media, a digital agency in Santa Monica that specializes in making lifestyle brands look effortlessly cool. My life is curated, measured, and for the most part, mine. I have worked hard to build it. I make good money. I pay my own bills. I answer to no one except my director, who, just last week, had approved my holiday content strategy, a multi-platform campaign designed to make people feel cozy and seen. Ironic, given how my own family specialized in making me feel overlooked and utilized. My office overlooks the pier. It is all glass and reclaimed wood. My apartment is filled with plants I have not killed and books I have actually read. I am, by all measurable standards of coastal millennial life, successful. I am also, by the standards of my family, a failure, not because I am unsuccessful, but because I am unburdened. I have no mortgage, no husband, and most critically, no children. This makes me, in their eyes, the designated default, the permanent on-call. My family unit is, on the surface, the picture of suburban success. My mother, Carol, is a woman who runs on a potent mixture of neighborhood gossip and perceived slights. My father, Thomas, is her enabler, a man who believes peace is synonymous with silence, specifically his own. Then there is my older sister, Lydia, and her husband, Evan, Lydia, who achieved the family trifecta marriage, home ownership, and immediate procreation. They produced, in rapid succession, my 3 nephews, Mason, who is 11 and entering that sullen preteen phase where every conversation is a negotiation, Caleb, who is 8 and a walking explosion of energy and noise, and Owen, the 4-year-old, the accidental finale, and the one who still possesses that toddler charm that makes you forget he just smeared yogurt on your suede jacket. They are good kids. They are not the problem. The problem is the assumption, held by all 4 adults in their lives, that my time, my energy, and my child-free status are a communal resource. This assumption was not whispered. It was declared. I am the free childcare. This title was bestowed upon me somewhere around Mason's 3rd birthday and has been reinforced at every subsequent gathering. Thanksgiving, while Lydia and Evan relaxed after their stressful drive from 30 minutes away, I was the one managing the kids' table in the garage, missing the adult conversation, the hot food, and the good wine. Easter, I spent 4 consecutive Easters not finding eggs, but monitoring the dyeing station. My hands stained purple for days, ensuring Owen did not drink the vinegar water. My cousin's wedding last year was the low point. I bought a $200 dress. I paid for hair and makeup. I was excited to see my extended family, to dance, to maybe even meet someone. 10 minutes after the ceremony, my mother intercepted me on the way to the cocktail hour. "Serenity, honey, Lydia and Evan have not had a night to themselves in ages. The kids are in the bridal suite, just for a few hours. Be a good sister." My few hours lasted until midnight. I ate cold chicken nuggets from the kids' menu and half a slice of wedding cake that a sympathetic bridesmaid smuggled up to me. I missed the toasts. I missed the first dance. I missed my own night. I sat in that floral, chintzy hotel room, listening to Moana for the 7th time, and something in me, something that had been slowly cracking for years, finally fractured. I remember the fabric of that dress. It was silk, deep emerald. I had spent weeks finding it. I felt good. I felt visible. The ceremony was beautiful. Set against a vineyard sunset, I felt hopeful. The air was warm. smelling of wine and roses. Then came the tap on the shoulder. My mother, Carol, smiling that bright, brittle smile that always preceded an unreasonable request. "There you are. Listen," she said, her hand gripping my arm, her rings digging in just slightly. "Lydia is just overwhelmed. You know Evan's back is acting up. They just need a break. The kids are in the suite, room 205. Just keep them quiet." I looked past her. The patio lights were twinkling on. A string quartet was playing. I could see my friends from the city, waving me toward the champagne tower. "Mom, I cannot. It is a wedding." Her smile tightened. "Serenity. Do not be difficult. It is family. What is more important, mingling with strangers or helping your sister? It is just for the toasts. They will be up after dinner." I knew. Even then, it was a lie. Just for the toasts became just until the cake cutting, which became, they are having so much fun dancing, just let them have this. I found myself in room 205, a beige room smelling faintly of industrial cleaner. Mason and Caleb were immediately locked in a battle over the Nintendo Switch. Owen, then only 3, was terrified of the unfamiliar room and screamed until I found Paw Patrol on the hotel television. I ordered room service chicken nuggets, which arrived an hour later, lukewarm and tasting of freezer burn. I sat on the scratchy polyester bedspread, my beautiful emerald dress hiked up, my makeup setting in the dry air. I heard the muffled bass of the party below. I heard the laughter. I heard the clinking of glasses. At 11:30, I texted Lydia, "Are you coming? Owen is asleep on the floor." No reply. At midnight, I called, straight to voicemail. I packed all 3 sleeping children into my own car, violating at least 2 car seat laws, and drove them home myself. While Lydia and Evan, as I learned later, were at the hotel bar doing tequila shots with the groom's cousins, I never got an apology. I just got a text the next day from Lydia. "Thanks for last night, you saved us. Left Owen's blue blanket in your car." So when my phone rang 2 weeks before Christmas, a Tuesday afternoon while I was in the middle of finalizing the holiday content metrics, I was already braced. It was my mother. "Serenity, how is work?" No preamble. She never cared about my work, except as an obstacle to her plans. "It is busy, Mom. We are launching the holiday campaign. What is up?" "Oh, wonderful. Listen. Big news. Your father and I decided to do something special this year. We are taking a cruise the Caribbean, and we are taking Lydia and Evan. Our treat. A real family vacation." My stomach dropped. I knew this tone. This was the "we have made a wonderful plan that requires your unpaid labor" tone. "A cruise, Mom. That is great. When do you leave?" "That is the best part," she chirped. "We leave on Christmas Eve, the 24th. We will be back on the 31st, just in time for New Year's." I waited. The silence stretched. "Mom, what about the kids?" "Well, that is what I'm calling about," she said, as if I were slow. "You will just stay at Lydia's house while we are gone. It will be so fun, a whole week with your nephews. You can really bond." I closed my eyes. I pictured my apartment, my quiet, clean, peaceful apartment. I pictured the campaign launch, the end-of-year reports. Then I pictured Lydia's house, a chaotic temple of sticky surfaces, lost socks, and the constant, piercing soundtrack of cartoon arguments. No, the word was quiet, but it felt solid. "What do you mean, no?" Her voice lost its lilt. "I mean no, Mom. I cannot. I have plans." "Plans? What plans?" "I am going to Joshua Tree with friends for New Year's. I am leaving on the 27th, and I am working up until the 26th. I have a major campaign launch I have to oversee." "Friends." She repeated the word like it was a foreign insult. "You are choosing friends over your family, Joshua Tree. What is in Joshua Tree rocks? You are going to look at rocks instead of helping your sister." "It is not helping, Mom. It is a full-time, 7-day-a-week job that you are trying to assign to me, for free, without asking. I am not available." The switch flipped. The sunny, excited mother was gone, replaced by the martyr. I just do not understand you. Serenity, you are so selfish. You have no idea what it is like. Your sister is exhausted. She has 3 children. 3. You have no responsibilities. None. You just float around Venice, going to your little job, seeing your little friends. This is the one thing we ask of you. The one thing. And you say no. Your father will be so disappointed. He wanted this to be a nice family gift. It is a nice family gift. For the 4 of you, it is not a gift for me. It is a summons. Do not be dramatic. You always do this. You make everything a production. Fine. Do not bother. We will just have to cancel the whole trip. Lydia will be devastated. The kids will be heartbroken. All because you want to go look at rocks. She hung up. The silence in my office was profound. My heart was hammering. I felt the familiar toxic cocktail wash over me: guilt, warring with rage, warring with the desperate, childish need to be liked. I wanted to call her back. I wanted to apologize. I wanted to say, "Fine, I will do it." But the memory of the cold chicken nuggets in that beige hotel room stopped me. 2 days later, my father called, the peacekeeper, the good cop. "Sari," he started, using the childhood nickname that always made me soften. "How is my girl?" "Hi, Dad. I am okay. How are you?" "Well, your mother is all worked up. You know, she just wanted everyone to be happy. She was happy, Dad. I was the one who was supposed to be miserable." He sighed. A long, weary sound I knew well. It was the sound of a man who had chosen domestic tranquility over basic fairness decades ago. "Look, it was a misunderstanding. The cruise is still on. We figured something else out for the kids. A sitter. It is all handled." I waited. I knew it was not. "But," he continued, "it is still Christmas Eve. We are leaving for the airport in the afternoon. But your mother really wants to see you. Just come over in the morning, 10 o'clock. We will open presents, have some coffee, just the 5 of us. Lydia and the kids will be there. Then you can go. No strings, no babysitting. I promise. Dad, I do not know. Please, Sari, for me, it is Christmas. I just want to see my girls together before we go. Just an hour, 10 o'clock. Open presents. And you are out. No one will ask you to watch anyone. I give you my word." His voice was so reasonable, so calm. This was the trap I always fell into. The reasonable request that masked the unreasonable expectation. But something was different this time. After the wedding incident, I had started therapy. My therapist, a no-nonsense woman named Dr. Kova, had been drilling one concept into me for months. Boundaries are nothing without consequences. And trust is earned, not owed. "Okay, Dad. 1 hour. Just presents." "Great, that is great. We will see you at 10 on the 24th. "Okay, love you, Dad." "Love you too, kiddo." He hung up. I sat there for a moment. Then, I opened my phone. My thumb hovered over my call log. I pulled up my father's contact. This year, after a particularly nasty fight where Lydia and my mother had teamed up to insist I had offered to pay for a vacation rental, I had merely forwarded them a link to. I had downloaded a call recording app. It felt slimy. It felt paranoid. It felt, as my mother would say, dramatic. But I had been gaslit one too many times. I had been told my memory was wrong, that I was misinterpreting, that I was too sensitive for so long that I had started to believe it. The recordings were my anchor. They were my proof, even if only for myself, that I was not crazy. I had not needed to record my father's call. The app was set to automatically record all incoming and outgoing calls. I opened the app. There it was. "Dad, incoming, 4 minutes, 12 seconds. I clicked play, just to be sure. His voice filled my quiet office, tinny and small. "No one will ask you to watch anyone. I give you my word." I saved the file. I named it Xmas Promise Dad. I felt a cold, hard knot of certainty settle in my stomach. I hated that I had to do it. I hated that family and evidence had to exist in the same sentence, but I knew my family. I would go at 10 o'clock on Christmas Eve. I would bring the presents, and I would have my car keys in my hand, my phone in my pocket, and my exit strategy ready. I was done being the default. I was done being the sacrifice. I was 32 years old, and I was finally learning how to save myself. The drive from Venice to Glendale on Christmas Eve morning should have been a 40-minute exercise in irritation and traffic. Instead, the freeways were eerily clear. I made it in 30. I exited the 134, leaving the trendy, detached cool of the west side for the sprawling, stucco suburbs of my childhood. The air felt different here, denser, weighed down by expectation. I had my father's promise on repeat in my head. A flimsy shield. Just an hour, Sari, no strings, but the tension in my shoulders, a familiar ache, told me not to trust it. I had the gifts in the trunk, a coding kit for Mason, a high-end art set for Caleb, a ridiculously oversized stuffed bear for Owen. I had my outfit planned for the drive to Joshua Tree on the 27th. I had my life organized. I turned onto their street. It was 10 a.m. Exactly. The first sign was the silence. The second, and more damning, sign was the driveway. It was completely, shockingly empty. My father's heavy black SUV was gone. Lydia's dented silver minivan, the one that always smelled like sour milk and fruit snacks, was also gone. A cold, hollow feeling opened in my stomach. This was not the setup for a 1-hour gift exchange. This was the setup for an ambush. I parked my clean, quiet hybrid behind the space where the minivan should have been. I grabbed my purse, leaving the gifts in the trunk. I walked up the familiar concrete path. Before I could even get my key out, the front door was pulled open. It was Mason, my oldest nephew, 11 years old and already burdened with the weary cynicism of a middle manager. He was in pajamas, his hair smashed flat on one side. He was holding a tablet. "Oh, hey, Aunt Serenity," he said. He did not look surprised. He looked resigned. "Hey, Mace, where is everyone? I thought we were opening presents." He shrugged, a gesture that conveyed years of learned disappointment. "They left. Grandma said you were coming. She said you'd be here all week." The hollow feeling in my stomach turned to ice. It spread, fast and sharp, up into my chest and down into my fingers. "What do you mean?" "They left. They're gone." "On the cruise? They left before the sun came up." I stepped past him into the foyer. The house was quiet, save for the blare of a cartoon from the family room. The tree was on, lights blinking their empty cheer. Caleb and Owen, hearing my voice, padded out of the hallway, both also in pajamas. Aunt Renity, Owen, the 4-year-old, launched himself at my legs. I automatically scooped him up, my body moving on instinct, but my mind was racing. "Hey, buddy!" I walked into the kitchen, Mason and Caleb trailing me, and there it was, on the granite center island, placed squarely where I could not miss it, was a single sheet of my mother's expensive cream-colored stationery. Her looping, aggressive cursive, slanted perfectly to the right, filled the page. "Serenity," it began. "No, dear. We've all gone on the cruise. Your father and I decided Lydia and Evan really deserved a break. Since you are not busy, this works out for everyone. This will be good experience for you." Experience. The word was underlined twice, a deliberate dig. Below that, a bulleted list. A meticulous, infuriating list. Owen naps at 1 p.m. No sugar after 4 p.m. Caleb reading time at 8. He will fight you. He must read. Mason limits screen time to 2 hours. He will lie and say you are wrong. Do not believe him. It went on. The Wi-Fi password. The specific brand of frozen pizza they would eat. The neighbor's number. "Mrs. Gable. For true emergencies only. Do not bother her unless the house is on fire." It was a complete operational manual for a 7-day childcare assignment, an assignment I had explicitly, repeatedly, and forcefully refused. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a conspiracy. My first instinct was to scream. My second was to cry. I did neither. The numbness that settled over me was cold and sharp. It was a tactical calm. I put Owen down. Guys, I need to make a phone call. Can you go watch your show for a few more minutes? Okay, Caleb said, already backing away. Can we have pancakes? In a minute. Sweetie, go ahead. As soon as they were out of the kitchen, I took my phone from my purse. My hands were perfectly steady. I opened the camera app. I centered the note on the granite, the light from the kitchen window illuminating my mother's handwriting. I took a photo. I zoomed in on the experience line and took another. I took a wide shot of the note on the counter. The metadata was now locked. The location my parents' house, the time 10:03 a.m., all saved instantly to my secure iCloud. This was Exhibit A. Next, I walked to the front door. My father, in a fit of suburban paranoia last year, had installed a Ring doorbell. He had added me to the family account. In case of emergencies, this, I decided, qualified. I pulled the door shut quietly and stood on the porch, the cold morning air biting at my cheeks. I opened the Ring app. My thumb scrolled down the history, past motion detected at 2:15 a.m., a raccoon, and motion detected at 4:30 a.m., the newspaper delivery, and then I found it. Person detected, 5:08 a.m. I tapped it. The video, grainy and washed out in the pre-dawn darkness, began to play. The front door opened. My father, Thomas, emerged first. Dragging a large black suitcase, he was followed by my mother, Carol, carrying her own roller bag. Then, Lydia and Evan, also pulling their own luggage. 4 adults, 4 large suitcases, 2 carry-ons. I watched, frozen, as they methodically loaded the trunk of my father's SUV. They were not rushed. They were organized. This was pre-planned. I saw my mother say something to Lydia, and they both laughed. They did not even bother to bring Lydia's minivan, meaning they had all driven here last night, slept here, and left together in one car, leaving the minivan at Lydia's house, a red herring. The clip was 1 minute and 34 seconds long. It ended with my mother pulling the front door shut, the lock clicking audibly, before she walked to the car and got in. They drove away, leaving the house dark and silent, with 3 children under the age of 12 asleep inside. I hit download, the file saved directly to my phone. Exhibit B. I stepped back inside, my heart a cold, hard stone in my chest. I went back to the kitchen. I sent a text to my mother, just 2 words. I'm here. The 3 dots appeared almost instantly. She was at the airport, waiting. She was expecting a text of resigned frustration. She was not expecting what came next. I called her. She picked up on the second ring. Her voice was obnoxiously cheerful, the tinny sound of an airport boarding announcement echoing in the background. Serenity. You made it, see? Was that so hard? Now, listen, Owen's nap is the most important. You have 60 minutes, I said. The cheer vanished. What are you talking about? Do not be dramatic. I am not being dramatic. I am being precise, I said, my voice dangerously calm. I have just reviewed your own Ring camera footage. I have a video of you, Dad, Lydia, and Evan, pulling suitcases, abandoning 3 minor children at 5:08 this morning. I have your handwritten note demanding I perform a week of unpaid labor that I already refused. You have 60 minutes, 1 hour, to get back to this house. There was a choked sound. We cannot. We are at LAX. We are boarding in 20 minutes. Serenity, you are overreacting. If you are not in that driveway in 60 minutes, I am making 2 calls. The first is to the Glendale Police Department, and I will be filing a report for child abandonment. I will give them the video. The second call will be to Child Protective Services. You have lied to me for the last time. The clock is ticking. You bitch, she shrieked, her voice cracking. You would ruin your own family's Christmas. You ruined it when you lied to me and left your grandchildren, I said. 59 minutes. I hung up. I walked to my phone, which I had set on the counter. I opened the clock app. I set a timer for 60 hundreds. I pressed start. The red numbers glowed. Pancakes, Caleb called from the living room. In a minute, I called back. My adrenaline was surging. but I forced myself to be methodical. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my work email, and composed a new message. To Serenity Diaz North, Light Media CC Serenity Diaz, personal gmail.com, subject Xmas Evidence. 24. Decais. Documenting for my records. Arrived at parents' house at 10 a.m. for a promised 1-hour visit, found my 3 nephews, ages 11, 8, and 4 had been left abandoned since 5:08 a.m. My parents, sister, and brother-in-law Carol, Thomas, Lydia, Evan have left for a 7-day cruise. This was done without my knowledge or consent, and against my explicit refusal to provide childcare. I have informed them they have 1 hour to return, or I will be contacting the authorities. The children are safe with me, for now. I attached the photo of the note. I attached the downloaded Ring video. I hit send. It was now time-stamped and saved on a corporate server, outside of my personal accounts. One last check. I opened the Find My app. We were all linked on a family plan, a plan my mother insisted on for safety. I tapped her icon. The blue dot pulsed. Location Los Angeles International Airport. Terminal 4. She was still there. She thought I was bluffing. I took a screenshot. I saved it to the new Xmas Evidence folder on my phone. Aunt Renity, I'm hungry. Owen toddled back into the kitchen, holding his stuffed sloth. I looked at him, his innocent face, and the rage I felt was so pure, so clean. It almost choked me. They had used him. They had used all of them. I took a deep breath. I know, baby, I know. Let me get the pancake mix. I picked him up and balanced him on my hip. I opened the pantry, and I read the back of the pancake box, my voice steady, while I watched the timer on the counter count down. 52 minutes. The timer on the counter showed 10 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. The pancakes were done. I had found the non-stick pan, the mix, the syrup. I had worked with a mechanical, focused calm. The children were oblivious, and I intended to keep them that way. They were now seated at the small kitchen nook table, a safe distance from the granite island where my phone, my timer, and my entire future as a free woman were resting. Mason was scrolling his tablet, a small act of defiance I had no intention of policing. Caleb was methodically building a small lake of syrup. Owen was happily mashing his into a wet, sticky pulp. The air smelled like maple and betrayal. I was sipping a glass of water, my back to the kitchen window, when I saw the flash of black. My father's SUV. It pulled into the driveway, fast, the tires squealing slightly on the concrete. It did not just park, it arrived. It was followed, a second later, by Lydia's silver minivan, which looked like it had been driven through a hailstorm of anger. Okay, guys, I said, my voice preternaturally even. It looks like Grandma and Grandpa are back. Finish up your pancakes. They are back, Mason asked, not looking up from his screen. Weird. The timer on my phone read 09:47. They had made it with 9 minutes and 47 seconds to spare. Car doors slammed, 4 of them, in quick succession. Not the measured thud of a family arriving, but the percussive slam of a SWAT team breaching. I heard the front door key jam into the lock, a frantic, scratching sound. The door flew open. It was my mother who entered first, a whirlwind of manufactured outrage. Her face, which I had last seen laughing in the pre-dawn darkness of the Ring video, was a mask of puce-colored fury. Her airport outfit, a beige cashmere travel set, was already rumpled. You? She shrieked, pointing a finger at me. She did not say hello. She did not ask about the children. She just pointed. You ruined it. You ruined Christmas. Our one vacation, ruined. My father, Thomas, came in behind her, his face a mottled gray. He was holding his phone, presumably where he had been tracking their flight status. Lydia and Evan pushed in after him, their expressions dark and sullen. Evan, my brother-in-law, was already vibrating with a kind of petty, masculine rage. Kids, take your food to the living room, I said, not taking my eyes off my mother. The TV is on, but Mason started. Now, they went. They knew that tone. I heard their feet padding away, the sound of the cartoon volume rising. I was alone with the four of them in the foyer. The timer on the counter was still ticking down. An audible click, click, click. Mom, you are yelling, I said. I am yelling, she sputtered. You threatened me. You threatened your own mother. You called me a criminal over a simple It was not a misunderstanding. Mom, it was a plan. This is unbelievable, Lydia spat, stepping forward. She was still wearing her Ugg boots. You are such a drama queen. Serenity. You always have to make everything about you. We were doing something nice for Mom and Dad, and you have to pull this stunt. A stunt, I repeated. Leaving your 3 children alone in a house for 5 hours, with a plan to be gone for 7 days, is a stunt. We knew you were coming, Evan chimed in, crossing his arms. He was shorter than me, but he tried to puff himself up. It was all coordinated. You just do not like not being in control. I do not like being lied to. I turned my head slightly, to lock eyes with my father. He had been silent, trying to blend into the beige wall. Dad, you looked me in the eye. Well, no, you did not. You talked to me on the phone. You gave me your word. He flinched. Serenity. Now let's not. Your mother was just... What did you promise me? Dad, I asked. My voice was quiet, and that seemed to scare them more than my mother's screaming. I said to come over, he said, shuffling his feet. For presents. And what else? Sari, this is not the time. What else did you promise me? He promised you would be here, my mother shouted. We all did. No, I said. That is what you planned. He promised me something different. I picked up my phone from the counter. The timer read 0712. I did not stop it. I swiped up, opened my audio files, and found Xmas Promise Dad. I held the phone up, my thumb on the play button. He promised me, and I quote, just an hour, 10 o'clock, 10. Open presents, and you are out. No one will ask you to watch anyone. I give you my word. I pressed play. His voice, tinny and false, filled the foyer. No one will ask you to watch anyone. I give you my word. I played it twice. The silence that followed was absolute. My mother's mouth, which had been open to deliver another volley, snapped shut. Lydia looked stunned. Evan's face darkened. My father, Thomas, the peacemaker, the enabler, the good cop, looked like I had struck him. His face went from gray to a deep, embarrassed red. He looked at my mother, then at the floor, then at me. You recorded me, he whispered. It was not an accusation of wrongdoing. It was an accusation of tactics. I had broken the unspoken family rule. We all know the lies we tell, but we must never, ever prove them. I learned I had to, I said. It was Evan who broke the silence, laughing a short, ugly bark. Wow. So this is who you are, recording your own father. Threatening your family. You are genuinely sick. Serenity, you need help. She is the one who needs help, I said, turning to him. Not the 4 adults who packed suitcases and walked out of a house at 5:08 in the morning, leaving 3 children behind. We knew you were coming at 10, Lydia shrieked. It was fine. It was not fine. It was illegal. And it was 5 hours. 5 hours where anything could have happened. A fire. A break-in. Owen could have fallen down the stairs. And where were you on the way to the airport? Laughing. How do you know what we were doing? My mother snapped. I pointed, very deliberately, past her head toward the front door. Because I watched the footage from the Ring doorbell. Exhibit B. Person detected, 5:08 a.m., 4 adults, 4 suitcases, 1 minute, 34-second clip. You want to see it? It's downloading to the police report right now. That was a lie. The right now part. But it landed like a physical blow. Evan took an involuntary step back, Lydia's hand flew to her mouth. My father just closed his eyes. So no, I continued, my voice as cold and hard as the granite counter I was leaning against. I am not threatening my family. Evan, I am presenting facts. You broke a promise. You broke the law. You lied to me. I am done. My father finally found his voice, or at least, his script. He held up his hands, the universal signal of the man trying to calm the hysterical women. Okay, everybody, just calm down. We are all here now. The kids are safe. We are home. We lost the cruise. We are out thousands of dollars. Is that not punishment enough? Serenity. Let's all just go inside and talk about this like adults. It was the perfect trap, the appeal to reason, the positioning of me as the punisher and them as the victims, the thousands of dollars guilt trip, the let's talk that really meant, let's sit here for 4 hours until you apologize for having feelings. I looked at him, at the man who had taught me how to ride a bike and then taught me how to swallow his lies to keep his wife happy. Talk like adults, I said, my voice cutting through his performance. An adult would have asked me, an adult would have taken no for an answer, an adult would not have conspired to abandon their children as a negotiating tactic. You do not get to talk like adults when you have acted like criminals. I pushed off the counters. I grabbed my purse. I grabbed my car keys. What? What are you doing? My mother asked. Her voice was small now. The fury was gone, replaced by the dawning, terrifying realization that the script had changed. I am leaving, I said. I walked past them, toward the door. I came for a 1-hour gift exchange, as promised. I am late. You are leaving, Lydia cried, her voice rising to a wail. You are leaving now, after you did all this. You are just going to leave us with the kids. It is Christmas Eve. The irony was so profound, so utterly lacking in self-awareness, that I almost laughed. I stopped at the door and turned. Yes, Lydia, I am leaving you with your children. I am not their mother. I am not their designated babysitter. I am not your employee. I am a person, and I have plans. I opened my purse. I took out the spare key to their house they had insisted I keep for emergencies. I held it up. This, I said, is an emergency. I tossed it onto the entryway table. It landed with a sharp clink. The gifts I bought for Mason, Caleb, and Owen are in the trunk of my car. I am leaving them on the porch. What you do with them is your business. My part is done. I opened the front door. The cold, clear Glendale air hit my face. You ungrateful? My mother's voice was a low hiss, the venom returning. After everything we have done for you, we gave you everything. You cannot be serious, Lydia yelled after me. You are just a selfish, dramatic bitch. I did not turn back. I did not engage. I would not give them the satisfaction of a fight. Not in front of the kids, who I could hear were now quiet in the living room, listening. I walked to my car. My hand was shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the trunk lock. I pulled out the 3 brightly wrapped presents. I walked back, set them gently on the porch, well away from the door. I got into my driver's seat. I locked the doors. I started the engine. I did not look at the house. I did not look at their faces, which I could see were now crowded in the window, mouths open, yelling things I could no longer hear. I put the car in reverse. I backed out of the driveway. I put it in drive. I turned the corner at the end of the street. I drove 2 blocks. I pulled over to the curb, and only then did I let myself shake. A full-body tremor, adrenaline and rage and grief, and a terrifying, giddy sense of freedom all rolled into one. My hands were vibrating against the steering wheel. I sat there for a full minute, just breathing, in, out. Then, the shaking began to subside. It receded, like a wave pulling back, leaving behind a cold, hard beach of certainty. I was done. It was over. I picked up my phone. I did not look at the notifications, which I could see were already exploding across the lock screen. I opened my voice memo app. I pressed record. It is 11:02 a.m. Christmas Eve, I said. My voice was hoarse, but steady. I have just left my parents' house. The subjects Carol, Thomas, Lydia, and Evan returned at approximately 10:50 a.m. Following my 1-hour deadline, they confirmed their flight. They confirmed their intent. I presented the audio recording of my father's promise and the visual evidence from the Ring doorbell. They reacted poorly. I have left the premises. The children are with them. I am safe. End log. I stopped the recording. Then, and only then, did I look at the text messages. Mom, you have destroyed this family. I will never forgive you for this. Lydia. Tell your friends in Joshua Tree. I hope they enjoy the company of a sociopath. Dad. Serenity, please just come back. We can fix this. This is not you. Evan. You're a psycho. You need to be locked up. Do not ever contact my children again. There were more. 12, then 24, a barrage of digital venom. I calmly took screenshots of every single one. Then I saved each screenshot to my XMAS evidence folder. I opened my messaging settings. I muted my family group chat. I muted Carol. I muted Thomas. I muted Lydia. I muted Evan. The silence in my car was beautiful. I put the car in drive. I merged onto the 2 freeway, heading south, back toward my life. My hands were steady on the wheel. The rest of Christmas Eve was a blur of silence and vibration. I drove home, the 2 freeway giving way to the 10, bleeding into the surface streets of Venice. I parked, walked into my quiet apartment, and felt the silence of a life I had built myself. It was the first Christmas Eve I had ever spent truly alone. It was magnificent. I ordered Thai food, drank a very expensive bottle of wine, and watched Die Hard. I had muted their names, but the sheer volume of notifications, the little number on the app icon, ticking up and up told me the war was still raging on their side of the firewall. I slept for 10 hours. I woke up on Christmas morning to the sound of a distant seagull and the bright, clean winter light of Southern California. I made coffee. I sat on my small balcony, wrapped in a blanket. For the first time in my adult life, I was not obligated to be anywhere. I was not elbow deep in wrapping paper refuse. I was not placating a screaming toddler. I was free. The peace lasted until 10:30 a.m., when my curiosity finally won. I had not unmuted them, but I had a network of cousins and old high school friends who, I knew, would be watching the show. I opened Facebook. I did not even have to search. A distant aunt had already shared my mother's latest post. My mother, Carol, was not a digital native, but she had mastered the art of passive-aggressive online martyrdom. Her post was public. It was accompanied by a stock photo of a single, sad-looking candle. "It is with the heaviest heart," she wrote, "that we are spending our Christmas. We tried to give a beautiful gift, a family vacation, and were met with such hostility and cruelty. It breaks a mother's heart. We are home, we are safe, but we are devastated. Praying for the younger generation to find the compassion and respect for family that we were raised with. So much irresponsibility, so much selfishness. We will be taking time to heal from this." There it was, no names, no details. Just a vague, sweeping accusation designed to paint her as the victim and me as the irresponsible villain. It was a dog whistle for her entire network of suburban gossips. I could see the comments already pouring in. "Oh no. Carol, what happened? Sending love. Some people are just so ungrateful. Family should always come first." They had escalated. My phone call was a private boundary. This was a public smear. They had decided to control the narrative, to paint me as the unhinged daughter who ruined Christmas with my threats. They left out the part where they abandoned 3 children. I put my coffee cup down. The calm I felt was no longer peaceful. It was tactical. I had spent my entire life rolling over for these people. I had let them define me, use me, and then gaslight me when I complained. I had the XMAS evidence folder. I had the recordings. I had the Ring video. I had the note. I was a content manager. I understood narratives, and I was about to deploy one. I went to my laptop, I opened a new status update. I set the audience to public. In response to the vague accusations being made about my irresponsibility this Christmas, I began. I feel I am left with no choice but to provide a clear and factual timeline of events. I do not enjoy this, but I will not be publicly slandered. I wrote it all out, coldly, methodically. On December 24th, at 10 a.m., I arrived at my parents' home for a 1-hour gift exchange, which had been promised to me by my father. A promise, I have on tape, that would involve no babysitting. Upon arrival, I found the house empty of adults and occupied only by my 3 minor nephews. Their parents and my parents had left for the airport at 5:08 a.m., leaving the children alone for nearly 5 hours. I was left a handwritten note, not asking, but telling me I would be their childcare for the next 7 days, a job I had previously and explicitly refused. I gave my family a 1-hour deadline to return and take responsibility for their children, or I would be forced to contact the authorities regarding child abandonment. They returned with 9 minutes to spare. Then, I attached the evidence. I attached the clear, crisp photo of my mother's handwritten note. I attached a screenshot of the call log with my father, time-stamped, next to a typed-out, accurate quote of his promise. I attached the 1-minute, 34-second Ring doorbell video, the 5:08 a.m. timestamp clearly visible, the 4 adults, the 4 suitcases, the click of the door locking, leaving an empty house. I finished the post. I did not ruin Christmas. I enforced a boundary. I refused to be lied to and manipulated into a week of uncompensated labor. The assumption that any family member, particularly a child-free one, is a default and free babysitter is toxic. What my family did was not just selfish, it was dangerous, and it was illegal. I will not be discussing this further, as the evidence speaks for itself. I did not name the children. I did not include their ages. I redacted the street address from the Ring video. This was not about them. It was about the adults. I hit post. I closed my laptop. I went and took a shower. When I came back out, my phone, which I had left on the kitchen counter, looked like it was having a seizure. It was vibrating itself off the charger. My post had not just been shared, it had detonated. It was shared by my cousins, then by their friends, then by local community groups. Glendale moms, LA women. It had broken containment. It was being shared by strangers across the country. The comments were a tidal wave. My God, that video. They laughed. The good experience for you on that note. I am seeing red. I am an aunt, not a free nanny. This, all of this. This is my sister. This is my mother-in-law. Thank you for posting this. I had not just shared a family dispute. I had given a voice and a face to a grievance held by thousands of women. I was the patron saint of the free childcare rebellion. A new notification popped up, a direct message. The sender was Jenna Coslow, and her profile read, Local reporter, LA Groundswell. Hi Serenity, I just saw your post. It is incredibly powerful. The video is stunning. Would you be willing to do a video interview? We could have it up by tonight. I think a lot of people need to hear your voice. I looked at the request. I saw the trap. This was how you lost the narrative. You became a crying, emotional face on a blog. The story would become me, not the facts. I typed back. Jenna, thank you for reaching out. I am declining all on-camera interviews. My voice is the post. The story is not me. It is the evidence. I am happy to provide you with the anonymized files for your reporting, but I will not be the face of this. This is about accountability, not attention. She wrote back almost instantly. I respect that. Can you send the files? I did, as I was exporting the video. A text message came through, an unknown number. Serenity, this is your grandfather Raymond. Your grandmother and I just saw Carol's post, and then we saw yours. We are on your side. This has gone on long enough. We are proud of you for standing up. Do not let them bully you. I stared at the message. My grandfather. My mother's father. He was a quiet man, a retired engineer, and he missed nothing. He had just handed me a shield. I felt a stinging in my eyes that I had refused to feel all day. I typed back, "Thank you, Grandpa. That means more than you know." The validation was short-lived. My family, seeing their vague narrative destroyed by my factual one, decided to abandon all pretense of subtlety. They went nuclear. Carol's response came first. A new post, this time naming me. My daughter, Serenity Diaz, has posted a vicious, out-of-context video to slander her family. We are heartbroken. She has a history of instability and making things up for attention. We are exploring our legal options against this. She had named me. She had declared war. But Lydia's was worse. She did not bother with words. She posted an image. It was a scanned page, ripped from a notebook. The paper was faded, lined, and covered in the loopy, dramatic handwriting of a 16-year-old girl. My handwriting. It was a page from my locked diary, which I kept in my desk from 10th grade, a diary she must have picked the lock on 20 years ago and kept. Her caption, "My perfect sister, Serenity Diaz, at 16. I hate everyone in this family. I wish I could just disappear. Mom is a psycho and Lydia is a moron. She's always been a selfish, lonely sociopath who hates her family. This is not new. This is who she is. Drama queen. Pathological liar family values." My blood ran cold. It was a violation so deep, so personal. It took my breath away. She had kept that. She had saved it, like a weapon in an armory, for 2 decades, waiting. And then, Evan, my brother-in-law, who saw Lydia's post and decided to deal the final, illegal blow. He, too, posted a document. It was not a diary. It was a scanned, professional form, an intake sheet. I could see the name of my old middle school's counseling office. Patient Serenity Diaz, age 13. Reason for visit: social adjustment issues, school anxiety, parental conflict. It was a nothing burger. My parents had moved. I was the new kid, and I had been forced to talk to the school guidance counselor for 2 sessions. It was utterly mundane, but Evan's caption was designed to kill. Just to be clear about who we are dealing with, my sister-in-law has had a history of instability since she was a literal child. She's been in psych evils since she was 13. This is the stable person who threatened to call CPS on us, knowing she is the one with the documented problems. This is slander. This is harassment. This is a violation of our privacy. We are the victims here. He had just posted my private, protected health information from when I was a minor on the public internet. The shaking was back. This was not adrenaline. This was not rage. This was a cold, pure, legal fury. This was not a family dispute anymore. This was a crime. I did not reply. I did not comment. I did not engage. I set my phone to Do Not Disturb. I made my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Twitter accounts private. I methodically screenshotted Carol's post, Lydia's post, Evan's post. I screenshotted the hundreds of new comments, the ones now calling me psycho, unstable, and crazy. I saved them, one by one, into the Xmas evidence folder. I went to my Facebook settings and clicked Download your information. I started a full archive, every post, every comment, every message. This was no longer a battle they could win with volume or public opinion. They had handed me the gun, the bullet, and pulled the trigger on themselves. I picked up my phone. I opened the text from my grandfather. "Grandpa," I typed, "thank you for your support. You mentioned you used a family lawyer for your will, Janelle Hart. Is she good?" His reply came in less than 30 seconds. "She's a shark. Why?" I took a deep breath. Because Evan just posted my private counseling records from when I was 13 on Facebook. I need a shark. A new message. "Call her. Now. Use my name." I found her firm online. Hart Legal Strategies. I called the number. A service picked up. As it was Christmas Day, I left a message. Hello, my name is Serenity Diaz. I am a referral from Raymond. I am in need of immediate legal counsel regarding a multi-part incident of defamation, public slander, and a severe HIPAA and privacy violation by my family. I have a comprehensive folder of digital evidence. I am available to meet at your earliest convenience. My trip to Joshua Tree was canceled. My holiday was over. I opened my laptop, and I began to write a new document. Timeline, PDF. I was going to be my own best witness. I was going to burn them to the ground with the truth. The day after Christmas, December 26th, the city of Los Angeles was pretending to be asleep, but the high-rises of Century City were awake and humming. I was in one of them, on the 34th floor, in the offices of Hart Legal Strategies. The office was all glass, gray marble, and muted, expensive-looking art. There was not a single poinsettia in sight. Janelle Hart was, as my grandfather had promised, a shark. She was in her late 40s, wearing a steel gray suit that probably cost more than my first car. Her hair was pulled back so tightly it looked painful, and her eyes, magnified slightly by sharp, minimalist glasses, did not miss a single detail as I spoke. I did not speak for long. I had learned that professionals like this appreciate efficiency. I sat at her heavy mahogany conference table, opened my laptop, and placed my timeline PDF on the oversized monitor. My name is Serenity Diaz, I said, and this is a comprehensive record of a multi-part harassment and privacy violation. I walked her through it, not emotionally, but as a content manager presenting a project. File A, the note, handwritten, photographed at 10:03 a.m. File B, the ring video, time-stamped 5:08 a.m., 4 adults, 4 suitcases, downloaded and backed up. File C, the audio, my father's promise of a 1-hour visit, time-stamped. File D, the smear campaign. This last folder was the thickest. I had organized it by perpetrator. Folder Carol Diaz, accusation of instability and irresponsibility. 1 post, 6 screenshots of comments. Folder Lydia Diaz, defamation and publication of private writings from when I was a minor. 1 post, 8 screenshots. Folder Evan, this is the main event. I clicked on the file. The scanned image of my 13th grade counseling intake form filled the screen. This, I said, is a violation of my privacy. It's medical information, however minor, from when I was 13 years old. He posted it publicly. Janelle had been silent, her face a perfect, neutral mask. She took off her glasses, pinched the bridge of her nose, and then put them back on. She tapped the screen. This is it, she said, her voice a crisp contralto. The rest is ugly, but this is illegal. She turned to her monitor. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. What your family has engaged in, Ms. Diaz, is a textbook campaign. We have defamation per se, as they are accusing you of instability, which attacks your professional reputation. We have public disclosure of private facts, the diary, and with this, she tapped the counseling form again. We have a flagrant violation of privacy and a clear case for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Their conduct is extreme, and it is outrageous. What do we do first? I asked. First, we put them on notice, formally. She picked up her desk phone. Sarah, I need you to draft 4 cease and desist letters, standard defamation and harassment, plus a specific takedown notice for violation of California privacy statutes. Addressees are Carol Diaz, Thomas Diaz, Lydia Diaz, and Evan. She looked at me. I am sending these via courier, email, and registered mail. They will get them by 5 p.m. today. The letters will state that they have 24 hours to remove all defamatory posts, videos, and private documents related to you, Serenity Diaz, from all public and private platforms. They must also agree, in writing, to permanently cease all contact and all discussion of you. If they fail, we file. They will fail, I said. It was not a guess. It was a character assessment. Good, Janelle said, a thin, dangerous smile touching her lips. I prefer it when they do. It makes my job easier. She charged a $5,000 retainer, which I paid from my savings without blinking. This was not a cost. It was an investment in my future. I was correct. They failed. The 24-hour deadline passed at 5 p.m. on December 27th. Not only had they not removed the posts, they had escalated. Carol posted a new, blurry photo of herself, captioned, "We are being attacked by our own flesh and blood. Sometimes the truth hurts, and some people would rather hire lawyers than face it. We will not be silenced." Lydia, in a fit of spite, posted another, new page from my diary, this one about a boy I had a crush on, with the caption, "See, she's always been obsessive and weird. This is who is threatening us." Evan's post of my counseling record remained, now with over 300 comments of support for him and Lydia. At 5:01 p.m., I forwarded the new screenshots to Janelle. Her reply was a single sentence, "I will see you in court." The next morning, December 28th, Janelle filed the lawsuit. It was a civil suit for damages, citing defamation, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. But she did not stop there. "We need to stop the bleeding," she had explained to me over the phone. "This is not about money yet. This is about control. I am also filing for a TRO, a temporary restraining order." A restraining order. The words felt heavy, violent. "Not a stay-away order," she clarified. "Though we may get there, a civil harassment TRO, specifically, a mandate that they cannot, under any circumstances, post about you, message you, tag you, or discuss you publicly online. If they so much as type your name, they will be in contempt of court. The medical record gives us the high ground. The judge will grant it." While the legal machine began to grind, I went back to work. I had a case to build. My timelined PDF was good, but it needed to be perfect, indisputable. I added a new section, Exhibits. Exhibit A, the note, in high resolution. Exhibit B, the ring log, a full printout of the day, showing the 5:08 a.m. departure and my 10:00 a.m. arrival. Exhibit C, the cruise itinerary. I had done a simple search, a 7-day Caribbean cruise, leaving from LAX via a charter flight, departing December 24th. I found the exact one, the Royal Caribbean Monarch. I added screenshots of the flight paths and the ship's schedule. It matched their timeline perfectly. Exhibit D, the audio, my father's promise. Exhibit E, the social media campaign, now organized by date and time, showing the escalation. But the audio and the digital files could be challenged. They could say I faked them. I needed them to be certified. I called a man I knew in Northlight Media's IT security department, a man named Ben. Ben was a quiet genius who mostly kept to himself. I did not ask him as a friend. I sent him a formal request through his personal consulting business, which I found online. "Ben, I need a professional, notarized certification of metadata for 3 files and audio recording from a call app, a downloaded Ring video, and a series of screenshots. I need you to certify the original creation dates, times, and any associated location data. I will pay your full freelance rate." He replied, "Send the files to my secure server. I'll have the affidavit for you in 2 hours." He did. The final document was beautiful. I, Benjamin L. Shaw, a certified digital forensics expert, do hereby attest that file, Xmas/Promise was created on. File, Ring 5:08 a.m. MP4, was downloaded on, without alteration. My evidence was now ironclad. That evening, I got a call from my grandmother, Evelyn. "Raymond and Janelle called us," she said, her voice trembling slightly. She asked if we were aware of the history of the babysitting. "I am sorry, Grandma," I said. "I did not mean for you and Grandpa to be pulled into this." "Pulled in," she said, and her voice firmed. "Serenity, your grandfather and I have watched this for 15 years. We watched them do it to you at Thanksgiving. We watched them do it at that wedding. We said nothing. We kept the peace. Well, we are done keeping the peace. If you need us, if Janelle needs us to sign something, or to go to that courthouse and tell a judge that this was not one time, but a pattern of exploitation, we will be there. We are ready. I thanked them, my throat thick. There was one more piece of the puzzle, the kids, my nephews. They were the only part of this that was not broken. I would not, under any circumstance, let my family use them as a shield or a weapon against me. I would not be what my mother was. I had been ignoring Lydia and Evan's texts, but I had one. Final, non-negotiable line of communication I would not sever. That night, at 7 p.m., our usual Aunt Serenity weekly video call time, I called Mason's iPad. I had bought it for him. It was linked to my account. He picked up, his face a grainy close-up in his dark bedroom. Aunt Serenity. Hey, Maze. How are you? We are... Okay. Mom and Dad are super angry. They are yelling a lot. I know. I am sorry you have to hear that. That has nothing to do with you. You know that, right? This is an adult problem. Yeah, he said, unconvinced. Where are Caleb and Owen? Right here, he said, flipping the camera. They were on his bed, building with Legos. Aunt Renity, Owen shouted, waving. Hey guys, I just wanted to call and say hi, and to tell you I love you, and no matter what you hear, I am not mad at you. I will never be mad at you. Are you mad at Mom? Caleb asked. I paused. I am not mad. I am just making sure that everyone has to follow the rules, including grown-ups. That is all. Now, show me what you are building. I stayed on the line for 20 minutes. We talked about Legos. We talked about school. We did not talk about the cruise, or the lawsuit, or the yelling. I ended the call. I saved a screenshot of their faces. This was my proof that I was maintaining a healthy, non-combative relationship with the children, separate from their parents. I sent the screenshot to Janelle, just for her records. The next day, she called me. The Turo had been granted. The judge had seen the medical file post and had not even waited for a full hearing. My family had 48 hours to scrub their social media of my name, or be in contempt, but that was not why she called. Serenity, she said. Her voice different, tense. I was doing my due diligence, running background for the civil suit. I was looking at Lydia and Evan's financials, trying to see if they have any assets we can target for damages. Okay, I said. Lydia lists herself as a fundraising coordinator for her PTA. That is her primary occupation, correct? Yes, she is obsessed with it, runs the whole thing. The bake sales, the spring gala. Right, the spring gala, Janelle said. And the cruise. You said they were all going on a cruise, a gift from your parents. Yes, that is what my mother said. Well, I was looking at the PTA's public filings. It is a non-profit, so their records are open. They run a charity fund. Their big partner, the one they list as their main corporate sponsor for the gala, is an organization called Harbor Hearts Foundation. I have never heard of it, I said. That is because it does not exist, Janelle said, her voice flat. It is not a registered 501c3. It is not a registered corporation in the state of California. It is a fictitious business name, and I was curious, so I ran a check on who registered that name. I waited, my stomach turning to ice. Your sister, Lydia, registered Harbor Hearts Foundation 2 years ago, and the bank account associated with that foundation, the account she has been funneling sponsorship money into from the PTA. That account just paid $4,600 for 4 tickets on a Royal Caribbean cruise, the one that was scheduled to leave on December 24th. The phone call with Janelle Hart left me numb. I was sitting at my dining table, which now served as my full-time desk, my laptop open to a Northlight Media content strategy doc I had been staring at for an hour without seeing. The words embezzlement, fictitious business name, and wire fraud were echoing in the quiet of my apartment. Lydia had not just lied about a cruise. She had stolen money. She had created a fake charity, Harbor Hearts Foundation, to funnel PTA funds to herself, and then used that stolen money to buy the tickets. The cruise was not a gift from my parents. It was the spoils of a felony. My mother's line about it being a treat for Lydia and Evan. Had she known, or had Lydia, the practiced manipulator, fooled them all, the sheer, breathtaking audacity of it, the entitlement, the arrogance to believe she would never be caught, and as I sat there, the numbness gave way to a cold, prickling sensation. It was a memory, sharp and uncomfortable, trying to surface. A feeling of being used, of my name and my resources being co-opted without my permission. This was not the first time. I thought back before the wedding, before the Easters, before the Thanksgivings, back to when I first moved to Venice, when I was just finding my footing, a piece of mail, a bill number, a letter, a notification, a credit alert. It was from 2017. I had been in my apartment for 6 months, a letter from my bank's credit monitoring service, a free perk of my account. A new account has been opened in your name, I had called, confused. They said it was a cable company. I assumed it was a clerical error, a crossed wire, someone with a similar name. I was busy. I was trying to make my mark at Northlight, and I had, foolishly, let it go when they said the account was in good standing. But now? Harbor Hearts. The scale of Lydia's deceit. My hands were shaking, but I logged into my credit monitoring service. It had been years. I had to reset the password. The two-factor authentication code was slow to arrive. Each second was an agony. Finally, I was in. I ran a new report. I scrolled past my student loans, long since paid off. I scrolled past my credit cards, all with zero balances, and then I found it. Under Closed Accounts. Vericom Cable Services. Account opened June 2017. Account closed August 2018. Address on file 1422 Sycamore Drive, Glendale, CA. Lydia's address. She had used my name. She had used my social security number. She had used me to get her cable and internet. For over a year, she had opened an account in my name with my pristine credit, and then, presumably, closed it when a better promotion came along. The rage that filled me was so pure and so cold, it almost made me sick. This was not just manipulation. This was not just family drama. This was identity theft. I looked at the clock. It was 11:30 a.m. I pulled up the number for Vericom. I knew this would be hell. I navigated the phone tree, my voice a mask of perfect professional calm. Billing. Technical support. Speak to an agent. Hello. Thank you for calling Vericom. My name is Brenda. How can I help you? Hello, Brenda. I am not a current customer. I am calling from the fraud department of my bank. I am looking at a credit report from 2017. I need to get information on a fraudulent account that was opened using my social security number. The lie was smooth. Fraud department got instant results. Oh, okay, ma'am. I can certainly transfer you to our fraud and security team. One moment. More hold music. Then, a new voice. This is Alex, Security and Fraud Division. What is the social security number you are calling about? I gave him my number. I am showing a closed account, opened in June 2017, at 1422 Sycamore Drive in Glendale. This account was opened without my knowledge or consent. I have never lived at that address. I need the primary contact email and phone number associated with the account setup. Ma'am, for privacy reasons, I cannot disclose that information. Alex, I said, my voice dropping. The privacy you are protecting is the privacy of the person who committed a felony against me. I am compiling a legal file. My lawyer will subpoena this, but I am giving you the opportunity to cooperate now. I am not asking for the password. I am asking for the contact email that was used to set up the fraudulent account. A long silence, the clacking of a keyboard. He sighed. I am looking at the original work order from June 12, 2017. The account was set up online. The primary contact email used for setup and billing notifications was ldiazfamilygmail.com. Lydia's email. Her stupid, cutesy family email address. Thank you, Alex, I said, my voice shaking. What is the reference number for this call? I will need it for my report. He gave it to me. I wrote it down. Fraud call log Vericom, Exhibit F. I hung up. I sat there, my world tilting. It was not just the cruise. It was not just the babysitting. It was a long, established pattern of criminal entitlement. My next move was clear. I needed to see what Janelle saw. I went to the Los Angeles County Public Records portal. It was clumsy, a terrible user interface, but I knew how to find things. I searched for the Glendale Unified School District, then for the public filings for its associated PTAs. It took me 20 minutes, and there it was, a PDF of the Spring Gala 2019 program, a scanned copy, badly digitized. I scrolled to the back page. A very special thank you to our generous sponsors. And at the top, in a tacky gold script, the Harbor Hearts Foundation, Gold Star Partner. It was real. She had published it. She had monetized her lie in plain view. This entire time, my mother had been painting me as the villain, the unstable one. But Lydia was a bona fide criminal, and Carol, my mother, where did she fit? I picked up the phone and called my grandfather. Raymond, I said, skipping the pleasantries. It's Serenity, that Harbor Hearts thing. Janelle told me. I found the PTA records online. He was quiet. I am not surprised. Sweetheart, you are a thorough girl. Always were. Did Grandma ever mention it? Did Mom? Another pause. Your grandmother and I, we have not been to your mother's house for Sunday dinner in 6 months. The yelling, the bragging, we are too old for it. Bragging? I asked. Bragging about what? Oh, everything, he grumbled. Bragging about Lydia's house, Evan's promotion, and the PTA. Yes, she was very proud of the PTA. A cold dread was settling over me. What did she say? Grandpa specifically. It was maybe last spring after that gala. Carol was, she was glowing, said Lydia was a fundraising genius, said she had a very important friend on the school board who was so impressed. They were just handing her the reins. No red tape, no oversight. They trust her, she said. They know she gets results. No red tape. I felt the last piece of the puzzle click into place. Carol was not just an enabler. She was an accomplice. Maybe not an active one, maybe not one who knew the bank account numbers, but one who was so blinded by her daughter's success, so proud of the connections, that she actively celebrated the lack of oversight that made the crime possible. I called Janelle. I have more, I said, and it is not good. I told her about the Vericom account, the identity theft. I told her about my grandfather's statement, Carol's bragging about no red tape. Janelle was silent for a full 10 seconds. Serenity, she said, and her voice was pure steel. The identity theft is a clear civil matter. We will add it to the lawsuit as part of a pattern of harassment and seek significant damages. But the PTA fund, this is no longer my jurisdiction. What do you mean? This is a criminal case. Embezzlement from a school district nonprofit, wire fraud, and now, thanks to your grandfather's testimony, potential conspiracy. I have a professional and ethical obligation to report this. My findings. The bank records I've subpoenaed. The fictitious business name registration. I am transferring the entire file to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, White Collar Crime Division. My stomach dropped. The DA. Yes, this is out of our hands now. My case, our civil suit, will likely be paused pending the outcome of the state's criminal investigation. What does that mean for me? I whispered. It means you are the key witness in my civil suit, but you will be a material witness for the state of California. They will subpoena you. You will have to testify. In a criminal court, Serenity, you are not the prosecutor. You are not the one pressing charges. The state is. You are simply a witness. You will tell the truth. You will present your evidence. The evidence you found, the note, the video, the ID theft, it all speaks to a pattern of behavior. I took a deep breath. Okay, I will do it. I know you will, she said. Now, be quiet. Do not speak to them. Do not speak to anyone. Do not post. Do not reply. The tarot is in effect, but they are stupid, and they are angry. They will try to contact you. She was right. The lawsuit and the TRO had made them silent on their main accounts, but the threats had just gone underground. It started 2 days later, a new text from a number I did not recognize. You think you're smart. You bitch. You tore this family apart. Watch your back. I screenshotted it. I forwarded it to Janelle. I blocked the number. A day later, an email from a new Gmail account. Lydia loves her kid's Gmail, com. The subject, you will pay, the body. You are a monster, a psycho. You are trying to take my kids. You will not win. You will pay for what you did. Screenshot, forward, block. This was the new rhythm. The silence of the disciplined and the noise of the desperate. My work, Northlight Media, had been a godsend. My director, a woman I had always respected but never been close to, had called me after my initial post had blown up. Serenity, she had said, her voice blunt. I am not going to ask what is going on. I am just going to tell you, you are on full mandatory remote work status until further notice. I do not care if it is a week or a year. I have also forwarded you the confidential link to our corporate counseling service. It is anonymous, and it is on the company's dime. Use it. We are paying you to manage content, not a family crisis. Keep your head down. We will handle the metrics. I had almost cried. A corporation was giving me the safety and support my family never had. So I worked. I sat at my dining table, my back to the window, and I built content strategies. I joined my team's video calls, and in the background, my other life was happening in silence. I had a weekly call with my new therapist. I had daily check-ins with Janelle's office. I continued my weekly FaceTime calls with my nephews, which I recorded, with their knowledge. To save our memories, I was building a fortress, and I was letting my family, and now the district attorney, walk right into the trap my family had set for me. I was not speaking. I was not posting. I was letting the evidence do all the talking. The courtroom in downtown Los Angeles was not grand. It was functional, modern, and painted a pale, institutional green that did nothing to soothe the nerves. It was, however, full. Word of the hearing, fueled by the local reporter's follow-up article on the Christmas childcare story, had drawn a small crowd of local gossips, court watchers, and, I suspected, other women who saw their own lives reflected in my evidence. Janelle and I sat at the plaintiff's table. I wore a simple black dress and a matching blazer. My hair was pulled back. I looked, I hoped, like I was boring, like I was at work, 2 tables away. They sat, Carol, Thomas, Lydia, and Evan. They had a lawyer, a man in a rumpled suit named Mr. Klein, who looked like he was already annoyed to be there. I did not look at them. I had trained myself, in the weeks leading up to this, to focus on a spot on the wall just above the judge's head. Looking at them would engage them. It would make me a daughter and a sister. I was here to be a plaintiff. Mr. Klein went first, arguing against the permanent injunction. His voice was a wheedling whine, designed to elicit sympathy. Your Honor, this is a family tragedy, he began, gesturing expansively. A simple misunderstanding, a holiday plan that went sideways, that has been twisted by the plaintiff for attention. We are talking about a family that is desperate to reconcile, and a young woman who, respectfully, has a history of instability. I kept my face impassive. I focused on the wall. The plaintiff has taken her family's private matters and blasted them onto the internet. She is seeking to punish her parents, her sister, for a mistake. A mistake, I add, that was rectified within an hour. There was no abandonment. That is a hysterical, fabricated term. They were on their way to the airport. Yes, but they came back. They came back as soon as she called. She held this trip over their heads, ruined their vacation, and is now trying to ruin their lives, all because she did not want to help her family. She is unstable. She is seeking to monetize this drama. He sat down, looking pleased with himself. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman named Judge Al-Fayed, turned her gaze to Janelle. Ms. Hart, Janelle stood. She was a column of steel-gray silk. "Your Honor," she said, her voice clear and cutting. "Mr. Klein is painting a picture of family drama. I am here to present a timeline of illegal acts. He calls this a misunderstanding. We call it premeditated." She nodded to the clerk. The large monitor, mounted on the wall for the jury box that sat empty, flickered to life. "Exhibit B," Janelle said. "The defendant's own Ring doorbell camera footage, December 24th, 5:08 in the morning." The video played. The courtroom was silent, save for the faint audio from the clip. 4 adults, my father, my mother, Lydia, Evan, 4 suitcases, my mother, laughing at something Lydia said, the click of the door locking, the empty dark porch. 5:08 a.m., Janelle repeated, letting the image of the empty doorway hang in the air. 4 adults, 4 suitcases, 3 minor children left alone inside. My client was not scheduled to arrive for another 5 hours. This was not a misunderstanding. It was a setup. I heard a sharp, choked sob from the gallery. It was my mother. I did not look. Mr. Klein also claims my client was expected, that she was helping her family. Let's address that. Janelle signaled to the clerk again. Exhibit D, an audio recording from December 22nd. My father's voice, the good cop voice, filled the room. It was warm, reasonable, and utterly false. "No one will ask you to watch anyone. I give you my word." The silence that followed the click of the audio ending was heavier this time. I watched Mr. Klein lean over to whisper furiously to my father, who was staring at his own hands. "A direct promise, broken," Janelle said. But the defendants did not stop at lying. When my client enforced her boundary, they slandered her. The screen changed. Exhibit A, the note, my mother's looping cursive, projected 10 feet high. "This will be good experience for you. We have a notarized affidavit from a forensic handwriting expert," Janelle said. Confirming this note was written by the defendant, Carol Diaz, not a request, a directive. The screen changed again, a collage of screenshots. And when my client defended herself publicly, using the defendant's own evidence, they escalated. They began a campaign of defamation. Lydia's post, my 16-year-old diary entry. "She's always been a selfish, lonely sociopath." Carol's post, "My daughter has a history of instability." And finally, Janelle said, her voice dropping, "This, Exhibit G." The counseling intake form flashed onto the screen. My name, my age, 13. Reason for visit, social adjustment issues. The defendant, Evan, publicly posted my client's private medical records from when she was a minor. "This is not family drama, Your Honor. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a vicious, coordinated, and illegal campaign of harassment, defamation, and intimidation. It is a pattern of behavior designed to punish my client for saying one word no." Janelle sat down. The judge looked at Mr. Klein. "Mr. Klein, your response to Exhibit G." Klein stood, flustered. "Your Honor, these are complicated family dynamics. The defendant, Evan, was distraught. He felt his wife was being attacked. He did not. It was a mistake of passion." "A mistake of passion," Judge Al-Fayed repeated, her voice dangerously flat. "Posting a minor's counseling records. I see." She made a note. "Ms. Hart, do you have witnesses?" "I do, Your Honor. I call Mr. Raymond to the stand." My grandfather. He walked to the stand, his back rigid. He swore his oath, his eyes fixed on the judge. "Janelle, Mr. Raymond, you are the father of the defendant. Carol Diaz, Raymond. I am Janelle. And the grandfather of the plaintiff, Serenity Diaz, Raymond. I am Janelle. Mr. Klein has argued this was a one-time misunderstanding. In your observation, how has this family treated Ms. Diaz's availability over the years? My grandfather looked at my mother for the first time. She was weeping into a tissue. He looked away, back to the judge. Raymond. I have watched my daughter and my granddaughter Lydia treat Serenity like an unpaid servant for over a decade. She is not family to them. She is a resource. She's the free childcare. We watched her miss holidays, miss dinners, miss a family wedding, because she was always shuffled into a back room to watch the children. This was not a misunderstanding. This was just the first time she had the courage to fight back. My mother's sob turned into a low wail. Daddy, no. Silence in the court, the bailiff snapped. Janelle called her next witness. I call Mrs. Evelyn. My grandmother, looking frail and furious, took the stand. Janelle. Mrs. Baron Evelyn, you are the plaintiff's grandmother. You have heard the testimony today. You have heard your granddaughter described as unstable and dramatic. How would you describe Serenity? My grandmother clutched the handkerchief in her lap. She looked directly at me. Evelyn. She's a good kid. She's quiet. She's always been the peacekeeper. She takes after her grandfather. Her voice trembled, but she did not cry. She has taken their abuse for years. She just wanted a boundary. She just wanted to be respected. They are not crying because they miss her. They are crying because they got caught. Objection, Mr. Klein shouted. Speculation. Sustained, the judge said. But the court takes the point. Ms. Hart. One final statement, Your Honor, from my client. Janelle had prepped me for this. This was not a cross-examination. This was a statement. I stood, my hands clasped in front of me. I looked at the judge. I did not look at them. Your Honor, my name is Serenity Diaz. I am a content manager. My job is to build narratives from facts. The facts are here. On December 24th, I was the only adult who put the safety of my nephews first. I heard a gasp from Lydia. I did not call the police. I did not call CPS. I gave my family 1 hour to correct a dangerous and illegal situation they had created. When they returned, I left. I did not want to fight. I wanted a boundary. When they chose to escalate, to lie about me publicly, I responded with the truth. And when I responded with the truth, they responded with malice. They published my private thoughts from when I was a teenager. They published my private health information from when I was a child. I am not here for money. I am not here for revenge. I am here for peace. I am asking this court to grant the permanent injunction. I am asking the court to legally enforce the boundary my family has proven they will stomp on, burn down, and slander me for trying to hold. I am asking to be left alone. I am asking for them to be legally forbidden from using my name, my image, or my life, ever again. Thank you. I sat down. My hands were perfectly still. The judge looked at the clock. She looked at Mr. Klein, who looked defeated. She looked at my family, a portrait of narcissistic collapse. I have heard the testimony, Judge Al-Fayed said. I have seen the exhibits. Frankly, I am appalled. The actions of the defendants, particularly the publication of Exhibit G, are not just family drama. They are reprehensible. She gathered her papers. I am calling a 1-hour recess. When I return, I will issue my ruling on the permanent injunction. Court is adjourned. The gavel cracked. Janelle put her hand on my arm, squeezing it. A silent, "Well done." I just nodded, my eyes fixed on the empty chair where my grandfather had sat, and I breathed, for the first time, in a room full of people who had finally heard the truth. When Judge Al-Fayed re-entered the courtroom, she did not waste time. The hour had been a formality, her decision already written. She sat, adjusted her glasses, and looked directly at the defendant's table. I have reviewed the evidence and the testimony, she said. her voice leaving no room for argument. "Mr. Klein, your attempt to frame this as family drama is, frankly, insulting to the court. The actions of the defendants are not dynamics. They are a clear and malicious pattern of harassment." She looked at her papers. "This court finds for the plaintiff, Serenity Diaz. I find that she has been the victim of defamation, a severe invasion of privacy, and the intentional infliction of emotional distress." My mother, Carol, let out a sound like the air leaving a punctured tire. Lydia began to weep, but this time it was a thin, angry sound. "Therefore," the judge continued, "this court is issuing a permanent injunction against Carol Diaz, Thomas Diaz, Lydia Diaz, and Evan. This is a civil harassment restraining order. Effective immediately, you are prohibited from contacting Ms. Diaz directly or indirectly. You are prohibited from coming within 100 yards of her person, her home, or her place of employment, Northlight Media, and most critically, you are permanently enjoined from mentioning, posting, discussing, or referencing Ms. Diaz, her name, her likeness, or her personal life on any and all social media platforms, public or private. Any violation of this order will result in immediate contempt of court and potential criminal charges." It was a total, complete victory, a wall of law built around me. "Furthermore," the judge said, "on the matter of the civil suit for damages, this court orders the defendants, jointly and severally, to pay the plaintiff's full legal costs and attorney's fees, the amount of which will be submitted by Ms. Hart." Janelle made a small, satisfied note on her legal pad. "In addition, this court orders that the defendants pay a compensatory sum of $25,000 to Ms. Diaz for the emotional distress and professional damages incurred." I had not asked for money, but Janelle had insisted. It was not a windfall. It was a punishment. "And finally," Judge Al-Fayed said, "the defendants are ordered to remove every post, comment, and image related to Ms. Diaz from the internet within the next 24 hours. They are also ordered to post a public, court-approved apology, drafted by Ms. Hart, on their respective social media pages, for a period of no less than 30 days. Lydia, upon hearing this, actually shrieked. "An apology? She's the one who—" "Silence," the judge snapped. "One more outburst and I will have you removed. As for the other matters," the judge said, looking at a separate file, "the evidence related to the Harbor Hearts Foundation and the alleged misuse of PTA funds, that is a criminal matter, and I see from this file that the district attorney's office has already opened a formal investigation. This court, therefore, will make no ruling on that. As it is outside my jurisdiction, this civil hearing is concluded." The gavel cracked. It was over. Janelle and I stood. We did not speak. We gathered our files. I walked out of the courtroom, my spine straight, and I did not look back. The consequences did not wait. They began to land, hard and fast, in the days that followed. The first was the public apology. Janelle had drafted a masterpiece of cold legal prose. By order of the Los Angeles Superior Court, I publicly apologized to Serenity Diaz for my actions. My posts were defamatory, constituted an invasion of her privacy, and were a violation of her rights. I have been ordered to pay damages and am permanently enjoined from contacting her. Carol, Lydia, and Evan all had to post it. For 30 days. Their friends, the ones who had chimed in with "so ungrateful," were suddenly silent. The digital town square, their weapon of choice, had been turned against them. Then, the professional fallout. My father, Thomas, was a private wealth advisor. He worked for a small, boutique trust company in Glendale that prided itself on discretion and family values. The reporter, Jenna Koslow, had done her job. She had not been in the courtroom, but she had gotten the public filing. She published a follow-up story. Local woman wins harassment suit against family. Judge cites reprehensible actions. My father's firm, which managed the estates of half of Glendale's elite, could not have that. He was, as I learned from my grandfather. Indefinitely suspended pending an internal review. His name was taken off the company website. The man who had spent his life enabling my mother's cruelty to keep the peace had lost his own. My mother, Carol, faced her own reckoning. The friend on the school board, who had given Lydia no red tape, was suddenly in a panic. The district attorney's formal investigation was not a quiet inquiry. It was a full-blown audit. They were subpoenaing the school district's financials. Carol, as the vocal supporter and proud connection for the PTA's fraudulent activities, was named as a person of interest. Her bragging, her pride in Lydia's genius, was now viewed as potential complicity. She resigned from the school board immediately. For personal reasons, her entire network of important suburban friends, the women she had lunch with and gossiped with, they went silent. She was no longer a connector. She was a liability. The most direct, and perhaps most karmic consequence fell on Lydia and Evan. They owned a small, Instagram-able bakery. The Sweet Life. It was their whole identity. It was how they funded their minivan and their sense of superiority. But their community, the very one they had tried to weaponize against me, was the same one whose PTA Lydia had stolen from. The story was no longer Serenity versus her family. It was local mom embezzles PTA funds for Caribbean cruise. The DA's investigation was sealed, but the rumors, fueled by the civil suit's apology, were enough. People in Glendale loved their kids, their schools, and their bake sales. They did not love being stolen from. The bakery's online reviews, which had once been 5 stars for cupcakes, were now 1 star for embezzlement. Tried to order a cake, but they were busy stealing from children. One review read, "The harbor hearts of this place is pure theft," read another. Their business, which was already on a thin margin, lost 60% of its clientele in 2 weeks. They were forced to lay off their 2 employees. They were losing their house. They were, in short, ruined, not by me, by their own actions, finally brought into the light, and me I felt. Nothing. No, that is a lie. I did not feel triumph. I did not feel a dark, satisfying "I told you so." I did not, as Lydia had accused, monetize my pain. The $25,000 went almost entirely to a trauma therapist and a new security system. What I felt was relief, a quiet, profound, bone-deep relief, the absence of noise, the absence of expectation, the absence of the constant, low-grade dread that had been the soundtrack of my life. The boundary I had begged for, pleaded for, and finally sued for, was now a physical, legal, and social fact. The world had respected it. The silence was, however, incomplete. I had one non-negotiable tie to that family: Mason, Caleb, and Owen. My court order had been precise. It barred Lydia and Evan from contacting me. It did not bar me from contacting the children, a clause Janelle had fought for. But Lydia, in a final, pathetic act of spite, had changed their iPad passwords and disconnected their numbers. For a week, I was cut off. I had nightmares. Then, my grandfather Raymond stepped in. He had, as part of his "We are done keeping the peace" campaign, threatened to report Lydia's new address to the DA's investigators. They had moved in with a friend unless she established a court-approved neutral communication channel for the children. A new email appeared in my inbox. Family Wizard Communication Portal. It was a co-parenting app, the kind used by the most toxic of divorcees. It was a neutral ground. Lydia and Evan could not see my contact information, and I could not see theirs. All messages were monitored and logged, and through it, I was given one 30-minute video slot, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. The first call was a week after the hearing. Mason's face popped up. He was in a different bedroom, one I did not recognize. "Aunt Serenity," he said, his voice small. "Hey, Maze, I am here. I told you I would be here." Caleb and Owen piled onto the bed. "Aunt Renity, did you see my drawing?" "I did, buddy. It's on my fridge right now." We talked for 30 minutes. We did not talk about the court. We did not talk about the bakery. We did not talk about the cruise. We talked about Pokemon. We talked about a loose tooth. We talked about a funny dog they saw. They were, for that half hour, safe. And so was I. The extended family, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, had been silent witnesses. After the verdict, I received a few tentative text messages. "Hey, Serenity, this is Cousin Mark. Just, wow, I am sorry it got to that point. Mom and I are thinking of you. This is Aunt Susan. Your grandmother told me what happened. I am so sorry. Dear, I am ashamed of them." They were quiet apologies, sent off the record, hoping not to be dragged into the blast radius. I accepted them for what they were, the others, the ones who had sided with Carol, who believed in family first. They just remained silent. They had picked their side, and it was the one that was now publicly humiliated and under criminal investigation. I went back to work. I bought a new, larger rosemary plant for my balcony. I took my postponed trip to Joshua Tree by myself, and it was glorious. I stood on a rock at sunset, and I looked out at the vast, empty desert, and I felt still. I had been given a lot of experience this Christmas. The experience of betrayal, of violation, of legal terror, but I had learned something. My mother had always accused me of making everything a production, of being a drama queen. I realized, sitting in the silence of the desert, that I had never been the one who wrote the script. I was just the one who was finally strong enough to walk off their stage. I did not turn my pain into content. As my boss had so wisely warned me, I turned it into a lesson. I turned it into a boundary. I turned it into a new, quiet, and finally, peaceful life. The year that followed was one of quiet, deliberate reconstruction. The legal wall was built, but the emotional one was still under repair. My therapist, the one my Northlight corporate account paid for, called this post-battle shock. The adrenaline was gone, and now I had to learn how to live in the silence, to trust that it was real. The world, it turned in, had been watching my story. Though I had locked my profile and refused all interviews, had become a quiet legend in certain corners of the internet. I was sent a link by one of my cousins, the supportive one, to a private online forum. The Boundary Room, it was called. It was a community of thousands of women who were the default aunts, women who had been called selfish for having their own lives, women who were tired of being the unpaid, unappreciated emotional and physical labor for their entire extended families. They were my people. I lurked for a month, just reading, story after story, a mirror of my own. My sister dropped her kids off for the weekend and did not come back for 5 days. My mother-in-law gave out my social security number for a joint credit card we never discussed. I was not an anomaly. I was a statistic. One night, I posted, anonymously, "A year ago, I had to sue my entire family for peace." I wrote, "I won, but I feel guilty. Is this normal?" The replies flooded in. "This is not guilt. This is the good girl programming dying. It's painful. Let it die. You did not sue your family. You held your abusers accountable. You feel guilty because you were the one who had to do the work. Again." I found a new voice there. Weeks later, the moderators asked me to speak on an anonymous panel, a live audio-only event. Setting the final boundary when no is not enough. I spoke for an hour. My voice modulated. My name never mentioned. I told them about the note, the video, the audio file. I told them about the evidence folder. I told them how to be their own best witness. The event's chat log crashed from the volume of messages. I was not a victim. I was a case study. As the months passed, the rhythm of my life changed. I moved. I loved my Venice apartment, but it was too close to the memory. I found a place, still in Venice, but a new building. A 2-bedroom I could now afford. It had a long, narrow balcony that faced the ocean, It was a stupidly expensive view, but it was the first thing I saw every morning, the vast, blue, unbothered horizon. I bought a small, potted rosemary tree and 3 pots of mint. I watered them. They grew. My routines, which had been a shield, now became a pleasure. I started running on the beach path at sunrise, not for health, not for metrics, but just to feel the cold, damp air in my lungs before the city woke up. I enrolled in a 6-week, intensive Italian cooking course. I had always wanted to. I had always been too busy. I had always been on call. Now, on Tuesday nights, I was learning to make risotto. I learned to be patient. I learned to let things simmer. The year turned. Fall came, crisp and cool, and then the holidays. The familiar knot of dread began to tighten in my stomach. A phantom ache. The first week of December, I found myself irritable, jumpy, bracing for an impact that was legally forbidden from ever coming again. Then, a calendar invite popped up from my director at Northlight. Project Friendsmace, mandatory attendance, location, the tasting kitchen, 7 p.m. My friends from work, the ones who had silently supported me, who had covered meetings and never once asked me to talk about it unless I brought it up, had planned a full, elaborate Christmas dinner. I walked in. There was no chaotic kids' table. There were no cold chicken nuggets. There was a long, beautifully set table, glowing with candlelight. There were craft cocktails. My friends were there, dressed up, and they cheered when I walked in. "To serenity," my director said, raising her glass, the only time she ever publicly acknowledged it, for teaching us all a little something about boundaries artwork. We laughed. We ate. We exchanged ridiculous, thoughtful gifts. It was the first Christmas of my entire adult life where I was not on duty, I was not a babysitter, I was not a resource, I was just a friend. I went home at midnight, warm and full, and for the first time, I was excited for the new year. A week later, my grandmother Evelyn called. Her voice was tentative. "Serenity, dear, I know you are busy." "Hi, Grandma. I am just watering my mint. What is up?" "Well, your grandfather and I, we are getting older, and this year, well, we would like to have a small Christmas, at our house, just us, and you, if you would like." I stilled. The invitation, the first tendril from the family side. "Grandma, who is just us?" I heard her sigh. "Just you and us. Your grandfather wants to make his prime rib." It was an offering, a safe one, but I knew it was a test. "I would love to, Grandma, but I need to be very clear about my conditions, not just for this, but for always." "Of course, dear, whatever you need." The permanent injunction means what it says. I will not, ever, be in the same room as Carol, Thomas, Lydia, or Evan, not at a funeral, not at a wedding, and not for Christmas. If I come, it is with the absolute, legally binding understanding that they will not be there, that they will not be invited by surprise, that I will not be ambushed into a reconciliation. "I understand. Serenity," she said, her voice firm. "Raymond and I have already told them. We are having 2 Christmases this year. They can come on Christmas Eve. Our door is open to you on Christmas Day. There will be no impositions. There will be no emotional manipulation. Just 3 old people and a prime rib." "Then, Grandma," I said, a smile finally breaking, "that sounds perfect. I will bring the wine." I was building a new family, one based on respect, not obligation. The Nephews were a separate, protected part of my heart. The Family Wizard app was sterile, but it was reliable, 30 minutes, every Wednesday. But I wanted them to have something tangible, something outside of their parents' surveillance. I started writing them letters, real, handwritten letters on good, thick stationery. I sent them to my grandfather's house, and he would pass them to the boys when he saw them. "Dear Mason," I wrote, "I saw this book on coding for robots, and I thought of you. I am proud of how smart you are. I am always here for you. P.S. Safety first is not just for you, it is for me. 2. We all deserve to be safe. To Caleb, I sent art supplies. To Owen, a new stuffed sloth, to replace the one he had probably lost. I never said a single bad word about their parents. I just, relentlessly, told them that I loved them, that I was proud of them, and that I was safe and here for them, always, at work. My Boundaries project had taken on a new life. My director had asked me to collaborate with Human Resources on a new internal workshop, Bound Line Setting Professional Boundaries. I wrote the content strategy for it. It was anonymous, but it was all me. It was about how to say no to projects without capacity, how to document scope creep, how to protect your time and your mental health from corporate gaslighting. It was the most popular article series our internal blog had ever run. My life was quiet. It was stable. It was mine. And then, one Tuesday, I met Noah. It was the second to last night of my Italian cooking class. We were making gnocchi. I was covered in flour, failing to get the little ridges right with my fork. "You are pressing too hard," a voice said, low and calm. From my left, I looked up. He was tall. He had kind eyes, and his gnocchi were perfect. Little, ridged pillows. "You make it look easy," I said, frustrated. "My grandmother was a tyrant about it," he said with a smile. "Here, you have to roll it, not press it, like this, gentle." He did not grab my hand. He did not talk down to me. He just showed me. His name was Noah Whitaker. He was a friend of someone at Northlight. He was an architect, someone who, I would learn, built beautiful, stable, logical things. He was, most importantly, a listener. We talked as we cleaned our stations. He asked me about my job. He did not just nod. He asked follow-up questions. He seemed genuinely interested in content strategy. I asked him about architecture. At the end of the night, he said, "I have to admit, I came to this class half hoping to meet you." I raised an eyebrow. "What?" "My friend Sarah, from your office, mentioned you were taking it. She said you were one of the most solid people she knew. I guess I wanted to see for myself. And you are covered in flour, and your gnocchi are a mess. So, I'd like to take you to a place that actually knows how to make them, so you can forgive yourself. How about Friday?" It was the most direct, honest, and uncomplicated invitation I had ever received. I said yes. We dated slowly. We went for walks. We went to museums. He never pushed. He never pried. I eventually told him, in vague terms, that I had a difficult, legally enforced boundary with my family. He just nodded. "Okay," he said. "That sounds like you've been through a lot. I am sorry they put you through it." And that was it. He did not ask for details. He did not offer to fix anything. He did not try to save me. He was not a savior. I did not need one. I had already done the hard work of saving myself. He was just a partner, a kind, stable man who knew how to make gnocchi and who respected, more than anything else, a well-built, solid boundary. My life, for the first time, was not a drama. It was not a tragedy. It was, I realized, finally, a romance, a quiet, realistic, and very warm one. It was December again, almost a full year since my life had cracked open and been rebuilt. The air in Venice was, for the first time, not filled with dread. It was just December. Noah and I had plans to drive to Joshua Tree, a do-over, a trip for ourselves. I was scheduled to go to my grandparents' house on Christmas Day for prime rib. My life was calm, structured, and for the first time, mine. Then, my grandfather Raymond called. It was a week before Christmas. His voice was steady. "Serenity," he said. "I have a request, a difficult one." My stomach tightened, a reflex. "What is it, Grandpa?" "They have reached out," he said. "Not to me, to my lawyer. They want to talk." "Talk about what?" I said, my voice going cold. The permanent injunction is clear. There is nothing to talk about. It's about the criminal case, Serenity, and the children. The DA's office is moving forward with the embezzlement charges. Lydia is desperate. They are all desperate. They are willing to sign anything, to do anything. If they can get some kind of structured, reliable access to their sons, they are asking for a mediation. I almost laughed. A mediation, after all this? No. Absolutely not. I am not giving up the injunction. You will not have to, he said, his voice firm. Janelle has already been contacted. This is not a family talk. This is a legal proceeding. A formal mediation with a court-appointed professional. They are petitioning you. They are at your mercy, Serenity, and frankly, they want to negotiate before the criminal sentencing. They are terrified. Janelle thinks you should hear them out. Not for them, for the finality, and for the boys. So, on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, I found myself in a beige conference room on the 42nd floor of a skyscraper in downtown Los Angeles. It was not Janelle's office. It was neutral territory. I was there with Janelle. Noah had driven me, kissed my forehead, and said, "Your terms, your boundaries, I will be waiting at the coffee shop downstairs." They were already there. Carol, Thomas, Lydia, Evan. They had their own lawyer. The same rumpled Mr. Klein, who looked even more defeated than he had in the courtroom. The year had not been kind to them. My father looked 10 years older. The suspension from his firm had become a forced retirement. My mother's face was puffy, the socialite smirk completely gone. Lydia was just a ghost. She was thin, pale, and her eyes were empty. The bakery was gone, foreclosed on. They were living in a rental apartment, paid for by my grandparents, under threat of the impending criminal trial. Evan just stared at the table. His shoulders slumped. A woman in a sharp blue suit sat at the head of the table. "Good morning," she said. "My name is Ms. Evans. I am the mediator assigned to this case. I am here to facilitate a binding legal agreement. This is not therapy. This is not a discussion of feelings. This is a contractual negotiation. Are we clear?" We all nodded. "Good. I have in front of me a document, drafted by both counsels. It is an addendum to the civil judgment and permanent injunction already in place. It is a list of terms. We will not be deviating from this list. We are here to sign or to leave." She looked at the four of them. "The defendants have requested this meeting to secure a more formal, predictable visitation schedule with the minor children. In exchange for this, they are offering these additional, permanent, and legally binding concessions. I will read them." She put on her glasses. 1. The defendants will reaffirm, in writing, their public apology and will not contest the civil judgment, now or ever. 2. The defendants will add, in writing, a specific apology for the publication of Ms. Diaz's private diary and medical records, acknowledging the act was malicious and illegal. 3. The defendants will agree to respect all visitation boundaries, as set by Ms. Diaz and her grandparents, and agree that all visitation will be supervised, indefinitely, by a responsible, agreed-upon third party, who will not be Serenity Diaz. She paused. The defendants will sign this first, then Ms. Diaz will sign her portion, which outlines the structured visitation she is willing to grant. Are there any questions? My mother, Carol, raised a shaking hand. "Yes," she whispered, her voice hoarse. I just want to say, Serenity." "No, Ms." Evans said. She did not look up. "But," Carol's eyes were pleading with me, "I just want her to know. It was not." "But," Ms. Evans held up her hand, a sharp, definitive stop. "No, there are no buts in this room. Mrs. Diaz, the word but is how you invalidated a lifetime of your daughter's feelings. The word but is what you told yourself right before you slandered her. We are not here for but. We are here to sign, or we are here to leave. Do you sign? The pen was pushed in front of my mother. Her face crumpled. This was her last, final attempt at manipulation, and it had been snuffed out by a paid professional. She wept, silently. As she signed the paper was pushed to my father. He looked at it. Then he looked at me. His eyes were red. "Sari," he whispered. Janelle cleared her throat. A warning. He shook his head. "No, Serenity." His voice cracked, and it was a sound I had never heard. It was the sound of a man who had nothing left to lose. "I was wrong. I used you. I lied to you to keep your mother happy. It was cowardly, and it was wrong. I am sorry." It was the first time in my 33 years I had ever heard him apologize. I did not cry. I did not soften. I just nodded. Once, I acknowledged the fact. He signed the paper. It went to Lydia. She was shaking so hard she could barely hold the pen. "The diary," she whispered, looking at Ms. Evans, not at me. I will destroy it. The notebook, the scanned files. I promise. I will burn it. It was a terrible thing to do." It was not an apology, not really. It was a plea to the legal record, to the universe, to the DA who was about to decide her future. She signed. Evan signed, his hand moving so fast it was a blur. The paper was pushed in front of me. Janelle tapped the last section. My part. I, Serenity Diaz, agree to the following. I will not interfere with a structured, bi-weekly visitation schedule to be managed exclusively through the Family Wizard portal. All visits will be supervised by Raymond or Evelyn, or another mutually agreed-upon neutral third party. I will not, under any circumstances, be the default supervisor. This agreement does not obligate me to provide any form of childcare, ever. This agreement is contingent on the defendant's full, 100% compliance with the permanent injunction and the ongoing criminal proceedings. I picked up the pen. I did not look at them. I did not offer a hand. I did not offer a single word of comfort. This was not a reunion. This was not forgiveness. This was a truce. This was a treaty. Signed on the ashes of a war they had started, I signed my name. "This is concluded," Ms. Evans said. "The document is binding. Copies will be filed with the court. You may leave." Janelle and I stood first. I walked out. I did not look back. In the elevator, Janelle squeezed my arm. "It is done, Serenity, for good." "It is," I said. My grandparents were waiting in the lobby. My grandmother, Evelyn, just held my face in her hands and kissed my cheek. My grandfather Raymond, as always, was the practical one. He held out an envelope. "This is not for you," he said gruffly. I opened it. It was a certificate from a bank, a stock portfolio. The Mason, Caleb, and Owen Diaz Scholarship Fund. He had put $50,000 into it. "It's a trust," he said, as we walked out into the bright December sunlight. "Their parents will never touch it. They will not be able to poison this. Their parents' actions are not their burden to carry. This is a boundary for their future." I looked at him. My grandfather, the quiet engineer, the man who had given me the shield of his word and the sword of his lawyer. That night, I was on my balcony. It was Christmas Eve. Noah was inside, finishing his famous gnocchi. My grandparents' prime rib was waiting for me tomorrow. My phone was quiet. The air was cold, sharp, and clean. I breathed it in, and I realized the knot was gone. That tight, cold knot of dread, of expectation, of permanent, on-call anxiety that had lived in my chest since I was a child. It was just gone. It had not dissolved in a tearful reconciliation. It had not been healed by a magical, perfect apology. They were not better people. They were just broken people, now facing the consequences of their own actions. The knot was not untied. It was cut. I had cut it. I had cut it with the truth. I had cut it with evidence. I had cut it with the law. I had cut it with the hard, cold, and final strength of my own will. I had built a boundary, not of pillows, but of steel, and I had defended it, and I was, finally, free. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I am so glad I could share it with you all. I am curious. Where in the world are you listening from? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to connect with you and hear your thoughts. Do not forget to subscribe to Maya Revenge Stories, like this video. And if you can, please support us by hitting that hype button. It really helps this story get heard by more people.